this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I want to remind everyone that we are being broadcast live over Van Buren Television Channel 12. Clerk Wright, will you please take the roll?
Trustee Miller?
Here.
Trustee Martin? Here. Trustee White?
Present.
Trustee Frazier?
Here.
Treasurer Bud is hopefully on her way. Clerk Wright is present. Supervisor McNair?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Our first item tonight, as per the discussion from last night's work study, I would like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to remove item number 4 under new business and postpone it, and replace it with the consent agenda item 6, and then substitute it as item number 4, new business. This is the way the clerk's assistant told me I had to do it. Basically, we're taking out what we agreed to take off the agenda for tomorrow, which was the contract for the reel, and we're moving in the we're taking off the consent agenda. What was it? Joanne, you had us do this.
The improvement of it, so you taking it off.
Township and the City of Belleville Emergency Dispatch and Lockup Services.
Okey doke.
We're taking that out?
Well, we agreed last night too, and
Oh, yeah,
so
we did.
it's being taken out right now.
To go to a new business item,
We're swapping it.
swapping it.
Yeah.
And I would also like to take out the prepaid list of April 21st, 2017, and move it to new business.
Sure. No objections? Okay, so can I get a motion then on that?
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended to remove item 3, prepaid list of April 21st, 2017, to new business, and item number 6, approval of the intergovernmental agreement between the township and the City of Belleville for emergency dispatch and lockup services to new business.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You get a motion, you get a
Oh,
second.
sorry, I need a second, excuse me.
Support.
Support, okay. I have a motion for, approval and I have support. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approves. Okay, next item, approval of amended consent agenda. The amended consent agenda today will consist of the work study session minutes of April 17th, the board meeting minutes of April 8th, the prepaid list of April 26th, and the May list of May 2nd. Can I get a motion for approval? Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with the aforementioned revisions.
Support.
I have a motion by trustee Martin, supported by trustee White. Do I hear any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Where do I drop the prepaid list to, Joanne?
Last.
To last?
Item 5.
Okay. Got it. All right. Next item, there is no public hearing tonight. We now move to correspondence. I'm going to start by allowing trustee White to begin the correspondence.
The Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week is an observance in the United States that pays tribute to the local, state, and federal peace officers who have died or have been disabled in the line of duty. The memorial takes place on May 15th, and Police Week is May 14th through May 20th, 2017, which is the calendar week in which the memorial falls. This event is sponsored by the National Fraternal Order of Police and is implemented by the National FOP Memorial Committee. So that we need to recognize our Peace Officers Memorial Day and Week. Also, May is Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. May is Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. With warmer weather, it's time to remind everyone to be on the alert and to share the road with motorcyclists. Riders who have been cooped up all winter are excited to be out on the road again, but that shouldn't stop them from using caution. Both motorcyclists and motorists need to be aware of their surroundings. Checking blind spots, mirrors, and using turn signals are necessary when changing lanes and when passing. Distracted driving has been on the rise too. Distractions during driving could mean the difference between seeing a motorcyclist or not when preparing to change lanes. Don't let one text change anyone's life forever. Riders need to take precautions as well. Take a defensive driving course, wear protective gear, and keep your bike in its best working condition. Also be aware of any road hazards and dangerous weather conditions. Most of all, enjoy your ride, make it home again, wear your helmet. May is a busy month for proclamations. May 20 to 26, 2017 is the National Safe Boating Week. Recreational boating is fun and enjoyable, and we are fortunate that we have sufficient resources to accommodate the wide variety of pleasure boating demands. However, our waterways can become crowded at times and be a place of chaos and confusion. While being a marvelous source of recreation, boating is to the unprepared can be a risky sport. Not knowing or obeying the navigational rules or the nautical rules of the road, drinking alcohol or taking drugs while operating a boat, or choosing not to wear your life jacket when doing so is clearly not the smart thing to do. All are examples of human error and a lack of proper judgment. One particular behavior that can reduce the number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year by approximately 80% is the wearing of a life jacket. It is a simple task that has the potential to reduce the terrible loss of lives. Knowledge and skills are important in reducing human error and improving judgment. When people are aware of the risk, they are likely to take the precautionary measures to protect themselves and their friends and family. That is why we must continue to spread the message of boating safety not only during National Safe Boating Week, but also throughout the entire year. I can express my sentiment on this. I fished bass tournaments many years ago and fished all over the state of Michigan. I saw a couple of serious boating accidents that would have resulted in the drowning of 2 people in one boat, 1 person in another boat, where boats had flipped over the years. I also saw an instance where kids were out swimming in the middle of the lake in one huge lake up north, and one kid had on a life jacket, the other one did not. And the father had to jump in to rescue the kid that did not. So it is very important and absolutely critical that when you're on the water, especially in strange areas, places where you haven't boated before, you don't know what's under the water, you don't know where the channel is, or a lot of things like that. So always, always use the utmost in boating safety. A kill switch on your boat is an important thing. If you leave the seat, it cuts the engine off. A life jacket is an absolute must. Thank you, Supervisor.
You're welcome. Okay, correspondence received to the supervisor's office. We start off with Lydia Marvaso. Lydia Marvaso is 14. She is at McBride Middle School, and on June 15th, she is going to compete as the reigning Young Miss America in the international pageant. She represents Belleville, the state of Michigan, and now the USA. Go Lydia. Okay, that's good. We also got something on our real event when we had numerous kids come here to look into our summer program. I don't know, the 60 or 70 kids came here. They filled this room with their parents. And the correspondence was, great job. Your event today surpassed my expectation. I was expecting to drop off Calvin, let him interview, while I check out a class and wait for him in the car. Thank you for the opportunity to actually meet officials. We had officials here and become engaged. I took away a lot from this and will share. I also look forward to serving when needed for my community. She's going to volunteer to work at the polls. As for Calvin, he would work the polls, but he's a little too young, so thank you very much. Next one we got was reminding us that this year is the 66th National Day of Prayer, and Thursday, May 4th, we will be going over to 5 Points Park, and we will be at noon in a Victory Station at 5 Points Park, and we will be having a National Day of Prayer there with the local communities all joining together. all elected, everybody's is welcome to come. We have some brochures I'll put by the door. Today is Honor and Remember Month. Honor and Remember Month is not something a lot of people know about, but we kind of have embraced it in our area. And the communities around us today are going to be reading off the names. It's a time to remember our nation's bravest men and women who answered the call of duty for their country and their family. And they paid the ultimate sacrifice dying at war. We're going to read off their names. We do this to honor and thank their families who suffered such a heavy price as well, and to allow us, for these people who allowed us the freedoms that we enjoy as Americans. Each board member has been given a list of 10 names or so that they're going to name off of soldiers from the local area that have died during the war. I'll start over to my left. Trustee White, would you begin?
World War II veterans: Rudolph Belusa, Michael S. Warziniak, David L. Heiniger, Alex Szynski, Aubrey Mills, George Giro, Charles C. Novak, Edwin B. Bagat.
World War II, James E. Carskadden, John A. Horvatic, Floyd R. Chamberlain, Steve Balint, Sanford O. Schulert, Clemens Wozicki, Walter F. Reinhackle, Joseph X. Dunizen.
World War II, Richard L. Mansky, Gerald H. Byrd, Mitchell A. Golden, Anthony Kalask, James P. Kellogg, Thomas G. Bigerman, Eugene C. Duclos, Robert E. Green.
Korean War, William Jewell Jr., Clyde Petrie, Matthew Shikovich, Walter H. Billings. The Vietnam War, Greg Allen Barker, Edward Allen Buys, Richard Dean Bulifant, Kenneth Fulton, and Gary Allen Kirchner.
Vietnam War, Robert Gordon Petromulix, James Shelton Stacy, Thomas Cleveland, William D. Gouger Jr., James W. Davis, Gerald W. Durka, Ernie L. Bradford, Walter L. Clark.
World War II, Alban J. Barton Jr., Frank Paget, Willard F. Bortz, Robert Francisco Jack Palmer, Robert J. Soski, Edward Rymut, James E. Isley II, Marlon Ted Galloway.
Thank you.
Could we stand for a moment in silence to those who are no
Let's
longer
do a
with
moment of
us?
silence, but we do see it, but yes, one moment of silence, you're right. Take a moment. Okay.
Thank you.
Next item is, public comment. This public comment section is for items that are already in the agenda. At the end of the meeting, there is a public comments for anything that is outside of the firefighter grant and or the ordinances. I know that there's some people here, I believe, that want to speak on the lake house, right?
Right.
Yes, okay. At the end of the meeting, there is a section where you can all stand up and speak. Okay, is there anybody wishing to come forward for public comments on agenda items? Okay. We move on to the first order of business, which is new business. There is no unfinished business. First order of business, to consider approval of the first reading of ordinance 5217-2 to rezone parcel, I do have to read this, V125-833-093-01-0021-0001, otherwise known as 40631 Alden Drive, from C1 General Commercial to R1C Single Family Residential. Can I get a motion before we begin discussion?
I make a motion, we accept
Moved by
the,
Frazier,
Support.
supported by Miller. All right. Director Akers, can you tell us about this?
Good evening. The applicant has requested to rezone the above-mentioned property on Alden Drive from C1 General Commercial to R1C Single Family Residential. Per the township's discussions with the applicant, their primary intent for this rezoning is to construct an addition onto their home. Currently, there is an existing single-family home on the property, and because the property is owned commercial, their home is legal non-conforming, and they aren't allowed to build as big as they may be able to under single-family zoning. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this request at their April 12th, 2017 regular meeting. And at that meeting, the Planning Commission made the recommendation that the Township Board approve the rezoning request. Staff has reviewed this request and found it not only to be consistent with the Township's master plan, but the request is also consistent with the adjacent residential properties which are in the surrounding area, which are also zoned R1C. With that, this is the first reading of the ordinance. The second reading, if approved, will be on May 16th. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the Township Board may have regarding this request.
Through the chair. I don't understand how it was ever zoned commercial. It should have been residential, since it's in a residential area, you know.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the history as to why those properties were rezoned commercial, but you're right, it certainly doesn't fit
Yeah.
with the infrastructure in the area.
Okay, for those of you that are new in the room, we had a meeting yesterday for 2 or 3 hours, and we go through all these things and then sleep on it for the night and see if we have any further questions. This is clearly a commercial lot that was somehow put into a residential area. I have a motion for approval from Frazier, supported by Trustee Miller. Do I hear any further requests for discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item. Stay right there. Okay. To consider approval of the first reading on ordinance 5217-1. This is the Charter Township of Van Buren's zoning ordinance. Can I get a motion before we begin discussion? Trustee Miller? Or Trustee White?
To consider approval of the first, it has first and second reading, but to consider approval of the first reading of the ordinance number 05-02-17, parentheses 1, which is the Charter Township of Van Buren zoning ordinance.
Support.
Get that one right. Okay, Miller, got it. All right, so we have a motion by White and supported by Miller. And does anybody, Trustee Akers, please go through this.
Thank you. The Township's Planning Commission has worked with McKenna and Associates and Township staff since September 2014 to work on a comprehensive modernization of the Township zoning ordinance. This action has comprehensively updated the existing ordinance to ensure we are implementing best practices and to ensure we are compliant with state laws and guidelines. In addition to this, the changes have also transformed the format of the ordinance so that it's user-friendly and easy to use for developers and homeowners alike. This new ordinance does reflect several changes to the language of the existing zoning ordinance, but however, we did not start from scratch and we used the existing ordinance as a basis. The Planning Commission assigned a subcommittee which reviewed the zoning ordinance section by section from late 2014 until early 2016. This subcommittee recommended several minor housekeeping changes to the ordinance, as well as some major updates to various sections in order to make the zoning ordinance more consistent with the township's master plan and the sub-area plans which we have adopted. After this review is completed, the Planning Commission split the zoning ordinance into 6 separate sections and reviewed those changes at their regular meetings between mid-2016 and now. As a result of these meetings, the update to the zoning ordinance has been thoroughly vetted by not only our consultants, but township staff and the Planning Commission to ensure that we are bringing a quality, well-reviewed document before you. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on April 12th, 2017 at their regular meeting where the township did not receive any comments on the zoning ordinance. Following 2 weeks at their April 26th Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission made the recommendation that the Township Board adopt the proposed zoning ordinance, which with one minor change, which we discussed at work study last night. We did discuss at length, so what some of the major changes were, what some of the housekeeping changes were in the zoning ordinance, and what some of the formatting differences were. I did not plan to go over those again tonight, but certainly we have our consultant here. We could if the board would like. But otherwise, if not, then I'd be happy to entertain any questions that the board may have regarding the request.
I'm not gonna ask you a question. I just wanna make sure that the people realize that this is thanking the planning commission for 2.5 years of work getting this document back alive and well. And it's just a wonderful thing that they've done, and I want to thank the planning commission for their hard work. Does anybody have any questions?
That is a tedious job, and it's been done very thoroughly. I think Mr. Sloan addressed it last night at our work study, and you also, Director Akers, brought it a good presentation and understanding of what these ordinances entail, and we appreciate that effort.
Thank you.
If people, Trustee White.
As the supervisor just noted, this is a very, very huge amount of paper for us to read. I try to read every single page that comes before me for a board meeting. We received this late Wednesday night, which is actually a day early, and I was unable to complete it. I read about half of it. I intend to go through it again because I have a couple of weeks before the next meeting. I'll read the entire thing, and then I will make a comment at the second reading if I find anything in here that I feel is not appropriate. However, I have full confidence in the director and the assistant director of the planning department and also our planner that this is correct. So I'm comfortable with voting yes on it today, but I will finish reading it in the next couple of weeks before the next meeting.
I guess the best thing to say is that we've had a living document, and unfortunately, somehow we got a little bit behind in parts of it. This is comprehensive. It hasn't been done since when, 1992?
Yes.
1992. This needed to be done. Without this, your township has no defense really against unplanned development in areas that we don't want it. So this gives us defense to stop development, nuisance development and such in areas where we are trying to block it. So,
Through the chair, I'd like to suggest that we get on track and we get ahead of the game. We are always reactive, just like our policies, our bidding out the companies that service the township. I think we should get on a plan, you know, have a strategic plan of the future so that every 3 to 5 years this ordinance is updated. In today's society, there's a need to look at how, if you want growth in a township or any city, you have to be prepared for that growth. And I say we look at our ordinances on an orderly manner instead of waiting for 20 years before we look at them. You know, I think that would be advisable, and hopefully we can get on that path as we lay out our vision and our goals for the coming years.
Through the chair. Just so that people don't think we haven't done anything since 1992, there have been ordinance changes along the way which have been added to this, but to go over the whole thing and make sure it's all tied in, granted that hasn't been done, but it'll be the same way. We'll have a new document, and if things come up, it can be added to us as we've done in previous times.
yes, it's a wonderful job here.
But the whole document needs to be looked over periodically.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? This is our first reading, so I'm going to call up, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Use the second reading.
Thank you.
Next, to consider approval of entering into a pre-agreement regional grant for 2016 Assistance for Firefighters Grant Program and an amendment to the line item in the budget of 101-336-741001. Can I get a motion for the discussion
Through the chair.
for the approval? Treasurer?
I would make a motion that we approve entering into a pre-agreement for a regional grant for the 2016 Assistant for Firefighters Grant Program, and when necessary, to amend the budget as presented.
Support.
I have a motion for approval by Treasurer Bud, supported by Trustee Miller. Would anybody like to, we have our fire chief here?
Yep.
Yes, and our public safety director. Thank you. Can you fill us in on what this is?
Sure. This device is, one company that makes it is called the Lucas device, and the other type of device, it's called an automatic chest compression device. So it replaces the need for firefighters to actually do compressions in a cardiac arrest.
Why would we need that?
Well, for several reasons. One, it increases, the actual device increases survival rates. Historically, they found in the data. It allows for the proper amount of depth and pressure during compressions of somebody that's in cardiac arrest. Not only that, but it frees up the first responder to do help in other ways in a cardiac arrest. It reduces rescuer fatigue. Right now in a cardiac arrest, we have to rotate every 2 minutes because doing CPR is quite exhausting on a person. It also provides, this device will provide adequate heart pressure compared to manual CPR.
Okay, let me read this off just because it makes it a little clearer. The city of Ypsilanti took the lead in applying for a regional grant in 2016 for the firefighter grant program. This was an unexpected grant award which was approved for $74,000. Van Buren would have to come up with 10%, $7,400. This will provide four of these?
Four, correct.
4 CPR assistance devices. Where will we keep those?
They'll be on our frontline apparatus, one on each of the rescues and one on each of the engines in the stations.
Wonderful. I'm very impressed that we got the grant. We were surprised, but we're not sending it back. With the board's approval. Does anybody have any comments or discussion?
I have a question. How
Sure.
long does these devices last, and how often do you test them?
There is no calibration for these machines. They're designed with a fail-safe area on them. And to answer your question on replacing them, they're new enough that we haven't encountered a time frame that they'll be good for.
Okay, thank you.
I personally, through the chair, I think it's a great asset to the township because I can't rely on Paul White and Kevin Martin to keep me going. And I'd rather have one of those compression modules if I have a heart attack. So just remember that, guys. So it's a great machine. It's just like the defibrillator. You know, when that first came out, and we've noted that we didn't have any defibrillators in our arsenal, but now we've made amends for that and we are getting those. And I think this will be a great addition to our way to combat and help the community and our citizens, better. So I'm all for it.
Thank you, I agree.
Trustee White?
I don't have a response to giving you CPR.
Okay.
But
You'll let me die.
I
Okay.
know.
Mr. White, if I may, you could just tell her you'll do the ventilations.
Right. Auto chest compressions. Right. I want to take a couple of minutes and tell a little private, personal story. In May of 1991, I went into cardiac arrest at 3 o'clock in the morning. First thing my wife did was call 911. Second thing she did was give me aspirin. I will never forget that sweet little EMT girl getting up in bed and straddling me, and I looked down and she had dirty, muddy boots on, and I thought, what the heck is going on here? But they took me to the old Beyer Hospital in Ypsilanti, and about 6 o'clock they gave me blood thinners, and they transferred me to St. Joe where they did all types of treatments and things where you could see. And my LAD, the left anterior descending, was 100% occluded. And for most of you, you know more about this. It's called the Widowmaker. I survived that, and 5 days later, it was all I could do to walk from my back door to the mailbox. And I was off for 6 weeks, went back to work, and have not had a single problem since. Therefore, I really believe that this auto chest compression is a great advantage to our community, so it can be there immediately within the amount of time it takes the responders to get to your house, and it would be a great benefit to help support them until they do get to the hospital. I can tell you that we have much greater response times now. We have much greater physicians, doctors, and equipment available to us than we had in 1991. And I'm very thankful that we're only going to spend $7,400 to put 4 of these on our first responders' vehicles.
So I have a $74,000 grant for a state-of-the-art life-saving device. Is there any other discussion before I call this? I have a motion for approval and support. I have a motion for approval by Treasurer Bud, supported by Trustee Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next item is to consider approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the township and the city of Belleville for emergency dispatch and lockup services. Can I get a motion before we begin discussion? Yes, Trustee Martin.
Make a motion that we approve this item.
Okay, can I get support?
Support.
Okay, I have a motion by Trustee Martin, supported by Treasurer Bud. Director of Public Safety, could you please come up and tell us a little bit about our new dispatch contract?
Good evening, members of the board. As you're well aware of, yesterday evening we had work study discussion on the renewal, or the considering the renewal of the intergovernmental contract between Charter Township of Van Buren and the City of Belleville for dispatch and lockup services. We are entering now our 11th year as partners with the City of Belleville. And they've been obviously incredible working relationship with the Chief Berryman and the members of the department. Currently, the only thing that's been the only amendments that's been added after a review of our township attorney has been on page 8 and page 5, just adding, obviously, one, that we can restrict the number of prisoners within our lockup for safety reasons for our insurance carrier, MMRMA, and then the only thing else that we redacted out of it was that old language from 2006 from the old Central Dispatch Network. The contract reflects on page 8 the fee schedules, which will be increased from 2017 to 2019 at the rate of 2.5% per year.
Okay, does anybody have a question? I do. I've actually been thinking about this. Not gonna give actual numbers so nobody knows what the actual numbers would be. Say our lockup could hold 200 people, and you got 201. You don't go by Belleville or Van Buren. You basically go by the least offense person that does end up getting released on personal cognizance or check or bail or whatever else.
That's correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that, okay. I have no other questions. I'm sorry, Trustee White?
While I was in office before, we negotiated one of these contracts, and I'm pleased to see that we are working together with the city to decrease the cost for both of us according to the amount of service that we provide. For example, in the dispatch, it goes to $144 this year, lockup 26, but the total is $171,101. In 2018, that goes to $175,377. In 18, that goes to $179,760. And this helps offset some of our costs in dispatch. And we are very appreciative of Belleville joining with us so that we can have a better communication between the communities, better service to both communities at a lower appreciative cost for both communities on a per-person basis. So thank you, Chief.
Steve Frazier.
I am a little disappointed. I welcome Belleville, and I think it's a good idea for Belleville to join with us. But I also am disappointed in the fact that Sumter goes to Huron Township. And maybe it's closer for them, I don't know. But we are a tri-community. We're made up of 3 communities, Sumter, Belleville, and Van Buren Township. We pay to support the museum, the library, you know, we do many things together as the tri-community. And I just wondered if there's some reason why Sumter hasn't reached out to us to do their service rather than Huron.
That I can't really answer, but I know that years ago when this agreement took place between us and the city, it was just prior to the city themselves having the central dispatch networks, which consisted of Sumter Township and Belleville. It was Sumter Township that decided to break away from the city and establish their own dispatch at that time. Some years later, that ended up farming out, and they went to Huron Township to have them do their dispatching and lockup. The only thing I can surmise is I know that their software system is different from ours in Clemens, but it is compatible with Huron Township, so I'm sure that played a role in their decision where they went for their services.
In time. And when will they be updating their systems to ours?
That's unknown. There's been talk, I heard, but there's nothing concrete on it.
When they have the same system as we do, we can talk to them. But right now,
I
it's
think
not
that would
compatible.
be, that would be wise of us. Okay.
All right, I have a motion by trustee Martin, supported by treasurer Bud. Do I hear any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We have a line item 5 now.
Thank you.
Prepaid list of April 21st. I don't know what I'm doing here for the motion because I don't know what the question is.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna open it up for a discussion, and we're gonna begin with trustee Frazier.
Okay, I had a question regarding page 6 of 8. It's the it's the 3rd item down, and it says that we would be paying $562.41 for conference airfare to Montreal. I believe that on March 20th of our township work study, we had a very lively discussion regarding the township's travel policy. And that our travel policy currently allows no out-of-state travel unless there's specifically, they come to the entire board. And I think trustee Miller brought up the fact that she called the Michigan Township Association, and they advised that we should not pay for any prepaid travel expenses, you know, for any conferences. Prepaid should be, they can be reimbursed after they pay it, but no prepaids. That was advice of the Township Association. And then,
I think all of our conferences are prepaid. In-state and out-state.
not our travel. You didn't get paid for the mileage ahead of
Prepaid
time.
mileage?
That's what MTA was referring to,
Prepaid
actually, it was mileage, not
Okay.
expenses, prepaid expenses.
Okay, go on.
Okay. So I was, you know, taken back to see after a March 20th meeting when we advised that we would take up the travel policy and we would study it and we would come up with a new travel policy for the township. And I think trustee Miller recommended a couple of months, but she did recommend that it be put back on our agenda. To my knowledge, there's been no discussion at any work study or at a board meeting regarding a new travel policy for the township. So I applaud Clerk Wrights for expanding his education and seeking to the master clerk designation. But I think that when it's out of the country, that should be paid for at the individual elected official's expense. I know that we have an example that trustee Miller got, what was it, what did you get, the leadership, Michigan leadership, and it was at a cost of $12,000. She did not ask the township to reimburse her, she paid it and got scholarships herself.
Well, let's not give me too much credit.
Okay.
I got a scholarship, like Leon. He
You got
a
a
part-
scholarship from Montreal.
Right.
Leon got a
Yes,
scholarship.
it was a
to
$12,000 scholarship. I paid my portion, which was $2,000. Leon got a sponsorship, I think it was for RMA was part of it, correct?
I got a scholarship from the Association of Wayne County.
You're giving me
Clerks.
way too much credit here,
Okay.
sorry.
pay. All right. But it just disturbs me that after we have a meeting, and it was such a contentious issue, and we decided to
No, stop.
redo.
We didn't decide. The board speaks as one, and we never had a vote that day.
We did have a motion by Ms. Bud. If you want me to get out the record, I will. There was a motion by Ms. Bud, supported by trustee Miller, that said we would postpone the discussion of the travel policy,
True.
and it would be looked at a future
True.
meeting.
True.
Through the chair? That travel policy, I do agree with trustee Frazier. We do need to revise that policy. Trustee White and myself drafted one. And because of the circumstances with certain individuals being called into attention, we didn't want to take away from what we wanted to put in writing with more detail. We wanted a revised policy. It was some time since it was updated, and it's due. In fact, there's quite a few of our policies that need to be updated. But I do want to mention that I keep hearing, we need to revise this, we need to work on this. Every one of us has a duty, a responsibility to put agenda items forward. If you want something to be looked at, put it on the agenda, request it. I said it would be supported, I'm sure you'll get support, but any one of us could do that, so please take advantage of that. You want to revise the policy, put it on the agenda, and we'll look at it.
I thought it was already going to be postponed. I thought you.
Postponing it is one thing,
Okay,
but
one person
bringing
at
it
a time.
back into attention
One
is
person at a
not.
time.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
anyway, the point
what
of
is
the
your
matter,
request?
the
So what is
point
your request?
to remove
Okay, are you
the
making a motion?
prepaid. Yes, I make a motion that we remove the payment of airfare, 101-215-860-000 in the amount of $562.41, that we remove that from the prepaid list and that we act on it at a later date after we have the travel policy looked at.
Okay, I have a
Revise.
motion. Do I have a support for that motion? Hearing none, the issue is, yes,
Do you support
I'll support it.
you are going to support that?
Just so we can discuss it.
Okay.
And also request at this time that at the next work study meeting, that we put the travel policy that myself and trustee Miller spent a considerable amount of time. It's only a proposal, and there's a lot of things in there that I would not object to if they were being changed. And I would like for everyone to go and dig that back out of their files and to read that and to mark it up so that we can update our travel policy. I think it's necessary so that we won't have this contention at any future board meetings. And it's a concern I have is that this was approved 6 months ago, and it was dropped into our laps after we took office in November. And I just have issues with that as far as that goes.
Okay,
Okay,
I have a
through the
question.
chair.
yes, Clerk Wright.
Since you're making a motion,
Mhm.
what are you removing?
They're just trying to remove
Just
something
the-
from the prepaid list.
How
The
can you
pre-
remove a prepaid?
It's already
They-
been paid.
Hasn't been
Well-
approved.
It hasn't been approved.
It's been paid.
But it's been paid. And I just
And
like to,
I mean-
I'd like to make a.
Just
like-
a
no, no,
second.
We made a
Actually,
motion.
no, it's, he's
You made a
got-
motion, now we talking about the motion that you made. So, this whole issue regarding travel, we have a travel policy.
That says no
Wait a
out of
minute, you
state.
spoke.
doesn't.
You spoke already. We have a travel policy. The travel policy said any out-of-state travelers must be approved by 3 elected officials, all 3. And you made that policy before you, when you was in office. That policy has been adhered to. It's been signed and approved by all 3 elected officials. It was done prior to you coming in office because the plans was made. Can I speak? The plans were made before you came in office. So no policy that's instated right now has been violated. No, and no prepays, exactly the way they are said, they're prepaid. There's a reason why we have township credit card. In order, some items do have to be prepaid in order for you to go, like travel, conferences that you just went to or didn't go to. All that was prepaid, okay? So we do prepaid. I don't know what MTA official told anyone that you can't do prepaid. I thought you said.
On mileage,
Prepaid on mileage is only
not
something.
on every expense.
Well, you said mileage, right.
Yeah.
This is airfare. So mileage is one thing, airfare is a different. It's another. I don't know how you figure you can buy a plane ticket without purchasing the plane ticket first. You can't do that. That's the way you travel. You purchase the airplane ticket, you get the ticket, you travel. So everything that has been done has been approved. We have a policy. It just seems like to me it's something that you don't like, and you continue to bring it up and discuss it. I thought we have discussed this thoroughly, put it to bed. If you want to bring forth a travel policy and amend some of the things in it, I'll be open for that. Are you going to bring forth a travel policy and a complete travel policy that I think is indignant to tax one person, and you think I'm going to vote? No, I won't. But I'm open for discussion on amending any travel policy that we have. I've said that from the beginning. Nothing has been done here. I wish we could put this to bed, move forward. If you want to bring forth a travel policy and amend it, then do so. But stop trying to make it seem like something's being done that's not right, when everything is being followed that's correct.
Well, okay, can
Go
I
ahead, trustee
speak
Frazier.
now?
Yes, it is your turn.
Okay, first of all, Mr. Wright, you are confusing our travel policy that only addresses out of state. It says nothing regarding international travel. We don't even address the issue. You are going out of the country, and I applaud you for those efforts. However, I don't think it's in the best interest of the constituents that I represent and the taxpayers to pay for your airfare of $562.14 to go to Montreal. I applaud you for doing it and taking it on, but I think it should be at your expense. Excuse me.
And I respect your concern, but I believe that it does benefit the resident that I represent to learn and better myself in my role of clerk to move this township forward like it has been within the last 8 years. You have the right to your thoughts. I have a right to my thought. You think that it don't? I think that it do. It's the board. It's
Okay.
the board.
Okay, I have,
to make the
okay.
ultimate vote.
Before,
I withdraw listen, it's never gonna go anywhere. I am not, I wasn't born yesterday. This isn't gonna go
Are you-
anywhere
are you-
because, I'll tell you why, is because this was just slid in there. Slid in there. Nobody mentioned
nothing is
it.
slid in there.
How was
Everything
it?
slid in.
We have a contentious meeting on March 20th addressing the travel policy, and if we hadn't looked at the voucher list like we did before regarding the
Are you accusing this board
passport,
of trying to hide expenses?
I don't know what you're trying to do, but somebody should have
If
mentioned,
you're gonna accuse this board of trying to hide
somebody should
expenses, I'm
have
gonna say this.
mentioned.
This thing was in your packet on
And
Friday.
I saw it.
We have said 100 times over, if you have any questions on anything on the prepaid list,
I'm
please
asking
bring them to us,
questions.
and we will answer them.
I'm asking
You waited to the
question
last
why.
second to bring up a prepaid list item meant to infuriate
I
the wood on the
got
fire.
the package
And
Thursday.
I can live with all of that, but I'm not going to put up with you accusing us of trying to hide expenses.
Well, I would like us to be more forthwith.
There is no
When-
more forthwith.
When we got information from the Michigan Township Association, there's nothing in our policy addressing international travel, and there's an expense of $562 for international travel. And we have nothing addressing it in our policy. So how does that happen?
This board has never hit anything.
Supervisor,
Yes.
you just made a comment that it's on a charge card and it's prepaid, that we don't have anything to do with it.
I'm not sure what we do on
Okay,
that.
okay, but
But
it's,
it is a
but we have not paid the card yet, is my understanding. That it's put on a charge card, has the card been paid? Card's been paid. So you're making an expense without the consent of the entire board, and that
Which
is
is the
inappropriate.
way every board in Michigan and every board that you ever attended has done it. Now, I can say this, that I believe that she has a bona fide, a request to remove it from the prepaid list. If she removed it from the prepaid list, if there was a vote and it was removed from the prepaid list, this has happened one time before, we did try and get, was an airfare out of state where the person did not get approval of the 3 full-times. And because of that, we canceled that person's trip, and we got every penny we could back from the air people.
One question.
So this,
No, we didn't get anything back on that, people.
well, okay. At any point, the point I'm making is she has a bona fide thing. If you want to vote on that, that's fine. As far as the prepaid list, this is the way every township in Michigan does it.
I understand that.
Okay.
Why can't
But one
we
question,
afford-
if it's already paid, already been approved, the credit card has been paid, then why is it on our prepaid list for us to vote on and to approve?
Thank you.
Tell me, you're the supervisor for 4 years that did it exactly this way, and every
Thank
supervisor in
you.
America does it this way.
No, I don't believe that to be true or accurate.
Okay.
I don't see why, then why do we need a township board? If we are not allowed to look at where the money is being spent, my main job is to watch the budget and to watch the taxpayers and what we're spending for the taxpayer. That's my main job. So I'm looking through without any thinking, well, they're not gonna put the expense for the airfare, they're not gonna, it's not gonna be on there, and there it was. And I was shocked
I don't know why,
that
I mean,
before,
clearly it was going.
we don't have a policy, first of all, Supervisor McNamara, that addresses international travel,
Okay,
that's
stop.
why.
Hold on. We have said every argument 3 times over. We have no further arguments to make here. If anybody has something new to say, they can say it. But trustee Frazier, you have a motion and you have support. Are you gonna follow through with that? Because you sounded like you wanted to be
I
possibly.
want to remove I make the motion still that we removed the prepaid,
Okay, I already got your motion.
Okay.
Remove
Remove that
the item from the
562.
prepaid list. Are you gonna continue your support?
Are you removing it from the prepaid?
No.
No, okay.
yes, I'm removing it.
I'll continue my support.
Okay, I have a motion, I have support. I'm hearing no further discussion that is not new. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Aye. We have to do a roll call, because we have a no, or we have a difference.
Supervisor White,
No. Explain to me if I vote yes or no what I'm voting on.
If you vote yes, you're removing it. If you vote no, you're leaving it alone.
I vote yes.
Trustee Frazier,
Yes.
trustee Miller.
I have a question.
You
So
can't.
it's been paid though?
Yes.
Removing something that's already been paid?
Doesn't matter.
We don't
point.
It's a valid request.
It's valid. It's valid.
It is a
No.
valid request.
Trustee Miller,
No.
trustee Martin. No. Treasurer Bud,
No.
clerk Wright votes no. Supervisor McNair.
No. The motion fails.
Will we see prepaids on the voucher list or on us, on the consent agenda for us to approve or not? If you're going to spend the money, we don't have a say-so, there's no need putting it on here.
You know what?
Support.
I'm not gonna, yeah, I'm not.
This is-
I mean, that's
I'm not dealing with that
ridiculous.
today.
Why have the board?
I need to respond, but, you know, prepays, the payroll and payments, and all, prepays and everything goes to my office. We all know, I've been clerk for 8 years, prepays has always been transacted the same way. 4 years through your candidacy as our Supervisor Paul, 4 years through Supervisor Combs, and current. It's always been prepays, it's always been the voucher list. Prepays are the things that you have to prepay. Only thing you're doing, they still have to be authorized, they just don't happen. It has to be authorized by the electives that's in.
And by the policy approved by the board, it has to be authorized.
It has to be
which it was.
authorized, and that's the way it's always have worked, so it's nothing different now.
Well, you know, sometimes,
Are you gonna read, are you planning,
Were you
things
done?
always on prepay, we pay for MTAs.
I'm just
that happens
saying,
that
I'm
people
just
don't
saying
go to.
that just because something has, you know,
We
just
also
because
pay
it's
for
been
people
done in
for
the past.
MTA conferences is on a prepay.
I
that
understand
Some
that.
people don't go to, but they're paid for. So it's no different than that.
Okay, we're gonna move on, all right?
I don't agree,
Next
it's
item.
not a policy, it's
Through the
not
chair.
in.
Yes.
I make a motion
Conscience.
that we approve the item that was removed and back on the prepaid list so that it can be
Right.
paid for the Chase card services for
I thought it was already
Mr. Wright.
paid. I
Okay.
thought it was already.
I have a motion to, for the prepaid list of April 21st in its entirety. Do I have a second?
Support.
I have a motion by Treasurer Bud, supported by Clerk Wright. Do I hear any further discussion?
Yeah, I need clarification
Go
on,
ahead.
this is the entire,
This will
This
put that
will be the
back
entire
on and
prepaid
approve
list of
that
April
whole prepaid
21st.
list.
With everything in
That
it.
was taken off.
we put
It
it
was
on,
taken-
we take it off, okay,
Well,
we're voting
She
on
made
it.
a motion to take it off the
But we never
list,
approved
but we
the
didn't
list.
approve
Okay,
it.
all right.
Okay, here no further discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay,
Roll call?
Trustee Frazier,
nay,
trustee White,
No.
trustee Miller,
Yes to approval.
trustee Martin,
Yes.
treasurer Bud,
Yes.
clerk Wright, yes, supervisor McNabb.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Please note, next item is this, the standard report. It's our 2017 budgetary report, and it's also in the clerk's office to review, all right, for the public, if anyone wants to see it. The next item is announcements. I have one announcement in my folders. Oh, this is actually a biggie for our senior citizens. September Day Senior Citizens, this Thursday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 is having its, what do they call this? It's, one's junk is another's treasure, where they have a great big garage sale in our gymnasium. So please come on out. This is their biggest fundraiser of the year. It helps them through a lot of programs for the senior citizens. It's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Thursday, May 4th, and Friday, May 5th. They have books, tools, decorators, stuffs, crafts, a lot of crafts, sewing supplies, and other things like that. So come on out. At any rate, the next item then is, I'm sorry, are there any other announcements?
Oh, yes.
Okay, not yet, okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, I have an announcement. I'm asking my Mrs. Martin to help me with the NAACP meeting announcement.
You have a meeting announcement.
NAACP, May meeting.
Monday.
Yes, I'm sorry, the audience can come forward and give any announcements at this time. Announcements, you're next.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I couldn't remember.
Meeting is Monday, May the 8th at 7 p.m. at Canton Township Hall, 1150 South Canton Center Road. Attorney Robin McCoy will be answering questions about what to do when stopped by the police. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so,
You know, I just thought about something, I have an announcement that I just thought about.
okay,
Well, she just mentioned sometime someone will be talking about what to do when stopped by police. our police department, our public safety department has put together a trifold, and he showed it to me the other day. He's gonna be passing out to the high schools and the township and the different areas. It has an extensive list of things to do, especially talking to the youth, or anyone, what to do, what not to do when stopped by the police, especially for speeding tickets or whatever. I read it, I thought it was a great piece of material, especially it's things that I tell my boys, and it's exactly the same thing. If you have an issue, you fight it later, do what the police say then. But it's a 3-page trifold, and you need, if you look for it or go to the police department, I'm sure they have them there, but they should, we'll be passing them out to the high school students, I know, and put them in different areas of the township. Look for that piece, it has some good information in it, good things, and especially with things that's happening with public safety, or not only in the state of Michigan, but across the country.
Okay. The next item is public comment. Anybody from the public that wishes to come forward to the podium may speak. You get 3 minutes. If you want to appoint somebody that speaks for you or a couple people, we would be more lenient. But I have a feeling you're all here for the same issue. Is that correct?
Before we go to the public, I have an announcement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or a comment, okay?
I do that a lot, I guess.
First of all, I would like to have the travel policy put on the next work-study meeting and also on the next board meeting. I spent a tremendous amount of time developing that. It's not perfect, but it's really open and subject to discussion, and I appreciate Trustee Miller helping me edit that and to correct some of the English in that. So therefore, I'm requesting that, and I hope I have the support of Trustee Miller on that.
Support.
Good.
There were some valid points made this
Right,
evening.
and to that, the black swallowtail butterfly, this past week, April the 18th, 2017, at Senate Bill number 298, was introduced by Senators Hertel, Conyers, Stamus, Bifida, Warren, Young, and Pruse, and referred to the Committee on Government Operations. A bill to designate the black swallowtail butterfly as the official butterfly of the state of Michigan. The people of the state of Michigan enact. Section 1, the black swallowtail butterfly, Papilio polyxenes, is designated as this state's official state butterfly. Enacting Section 1. This act takes effect 90 days after the date it is enacted into law. The reason I'm bringing this forward is because there has been considerable discussion on the internet over the past week or so about turning Riggs Nature Park into a dog park. The black swallowtail butterfly is found in Riggs Nature Park. I've witnessed that myself over the years. I have them in my backyard along with the orange swallowtail and the eastern yellow swallowtail. All three butterflies visit my area and they visit their area. So I want this to be entered into the minutes of the township, please, and to people have every resident in the township to recognize the black swallowtail butterfly as the state butterfly, official butterfly of the state of Michigan.
Thank you. Any other board members have announcements? Hearing none, we are now at public comment. We would like your name and address for our record, please.
My name is Bob Long. I live at 45474 Harmony Lane in Bell Harbor. I can't say I'm speaking for everyone here because I'm sure many of the people here have a bit more information than I do. What I'm curious about, though, is can the board speak to the proposed fishing dock issue? In other words, who is it intended to serve, who's paying for it, and how will it be, if you will, regulated? In other words, please.
You're going to develop a two-way street of conversation here that is not easy because you're talking about something that is so far away that we don't know. Right now, all we're doing is talking to the DNR about what the property is going to cost. How much that costs us, where we come up with the money, how do we finance going forward, what kind of stipulations they're going to have, what kind of traffic control it's going to cause. All of those issues are not going to begin until we find out if we can afford the property. So, yes, we have a vision that we would like to see there at this point in time. We don't know what it's gonna look like in the end, but we're following down that road.
I guess the question that a lot of us have is, but why?
I'm sorry, what?
I guess the question many of us have is, but why? Why would you put it there?
Because it is, first of all, it's on the lake. Second of all, we believe we're a lake community. We have, most of our residents lack lake access. There's an incredible amount of desire that, from our residents when they hear about this. They love the idea. I met 13 people the other day that didn't like the idea.
So did you, when you say that you've had a lot of positive feedback,
Great deal.
did you do a focus group? Did you have a meeting that included the entire?
I went door to door. I put it in my literature. I ran advertisements in the Belleville Independent. I even did a TV commercial.
And you've gotten more positive than negative.
I got one negative. Before the other day, I got 13.
I think.
The other day it was 22, not 13.
I think you may have more than, I think, since I live on the street that'll be nearest that fishing dock.
Harmony Lane.
I'm sorry?
I even walked Harmony Lane.
I never had an opportunity to talk to you.
People weren't home.
Yeah. I think that, and again, I can't speak for everyone. I'm assuming that most of the people are here because they don't really support the idea. If you had a majority of the people within the Bell Harbor, et cetera, and within that subdivision that said they didn't want that, would that sway your decision?
It's a community, it's a community asset. It's going to be a community decision. The problem is we are a lake community and the people of Van Buren do not have lake access. So we are going to provide for a lake house of some sort for everybody in our community where they can have weddings, family reunions, maybe use a splash park, a park outside, a place that they can go that's on the lake. That's the idea.
Is it possible that that could be developed inside Van Buren Park?
No. Van Buren Park has an incredibly bad slope on the sides of it. In fact, it's almost, you almost can't get back to the row house now. The Denton Road side road is already washed out. And my first thought was to try and save that. We went out there, it didn't take the engineer 5 steps to look at that road and say, I wouldn't even walk that, let alone try to fix it for road traffic. So and during the summer months, the foliage is so thick and the slopes so on the sides, you can't even see the lake. But it would be nice if we could get to use it down there.
I was going to say, I would wonder if the amount of money to be expended to purchase the property and develop it, where we're talking about along the side of Belleville Road, if that same amount of money was expended within Van Buren Park, would that not provide something similar?
At this point in time, I can't tell you how much money we're talking about expending because we haven't seen any budget numbers until we see the DNR. I mean, they may come back and say, yeah, take this park for $2 million, in which case this is a dead issue.
I would hope.
Yeah.
Okay. If they gave you a number that was less than $2 million.
I would like them to say, take it for $1.
I bet you would.
And I would
If they came somewhere between the $1 and the $2 million, would you take that number and compare it to what you might be able to do before you proceed?
Any decision will be made by this board as in its entirety.
Okay.
So at this point in time, I've been speaking for what the board has told me that they like. But I can't go any further because now you're talking apples, numbers, oranges, and everybody else has a different feeling, right?
No, we have no say. We have no say.
It may be on the prepaid list, so you won't have anything to worry about.
Hold on. Trustee Miller, go ahead.
I'd like to hear, there's quite a few residents here about this, so I'd like to hear why you're opposed to this idea. I'd like to hear from all of you.
Well, I think part of it.
Question at a time. We don't need a
You could go up
You can hear
after,
No, yeah.
no, you have to go up.
No, you gotta
We
go
prefer
up.
that you go up.
Sure, if
But
you want to.
yes, please get in line, and I'd like to
Okay,
hear from
then
the
next.
residents.
I think the comment was made, and before Carol steps up, there's a very large concern that for those of us who live closest, we have apparently little or no voice. That's a little troubling.
You have a
You
voice.
actually won't, yes.
And you'd mentioned some of the issues. Clearly, there's going to be a potential traffic issue.
Potentially.
Yes, right there at the bridge. It'll be a huge problem, especially.
Look at all
It's
this.
already a problem.
Well, if you're up and down that street, which I'm sure most of you have been, anytime around when the school buses are coming in and out of town, add another 150 cars to that, and you got a really serious mess.
We're not talking to McDonald's here. This is gonna be very, very low impact on the traffic, but we do have to look at the traffic concerns, of course.
But you're planning on 150 parking spots,
110.
110. Sounds like a potential problem. Okay, Carol?
I'd like to ask a question. My name is Carol Pesta. You've seen me in the Independent, and I brought up at a meeting with you personally a lot of questions that were not answered correctly. Number one, where's the police protection on the lake during the summer months? Well, we got one right now, and that's all we have. Number two, when you throw a wedding and they're drinking and they throw punches, where's your security guards? Number, what am I at, 3 or 4? What about the cleanup? And here's the last question. It may sound really peculiar, but the people that live on the lake are going to have to get extra security for these months, pick up their own trash that rolls into their property. So are you going to lower their taxes
No.
for the extra care?
And I don't
Why
need
wasn't
any
this
of that.
brought up to a vote on a ballot? Why did the committee decide? And not the taxpayers, who pays all of your, I'm assuming, you're not working for nothing.
At this point in time, a ballot question is out of the question because
Why?
we don't know what the question would be.
The question
We haven't
is, you
seen
have a
enough of
lake
this
house.
deal.
You proposed a lake house.
Shoot, okay, hold on. Okay, you're worried about the traffic and you're worried about the garbage.
And the drug dealing, and the fights, and the trash on the lake.
We will
That's
have-
gonna really bring in people here.
Okay, we will have to consider that then.
Who considers it?
We
Do you
will.
talk to us here
The people
that
that
pay
were
taxes, or is it just amongst your board? And I'm not being sarcastic, but I've
It
been
has to be
listening
done
to
in
your
an open
meeting.
meeting.
Pardon me?
It must be done in an open meeting.
And when are you gonna have that?
Oh, God, it could be a year from now.
No, it's a done deal already. It's a lot of
News
talk
to
in
me.
town. Yeah, well,
Trustee
yeah.
White.
That property currently belongs to the DNR.
Right.
And the DNR, tried to sell it to the library. And,
They did sell it to the library on a contingency.
right, but that fell through. The supervisor came to us and says, we should consider this for a showplace for Van Buren Township. And there's certain issues that I have problems with, for example, drinking, for example, trash on the lake, for example, drugs. A lot of these issues will have to be resolved. However, we have made an application that the supervisor made the application with approval of the whole board to the DNR. Now, the DNR has previously requested, that's the wrong word, required that there be fishing on that site. So anybody who purchases that, I can tell you that the DNR will not give up that property. They don't need the money, they just don't want to manage the property, but they will not give up that property without a fishing pier on that property. That's my own opinion, because I've seen how, because I've seen.
You're right.
No, and Van Buren Township will have nothing to do, if we are successful to purchase that, then we will have to put in a fishing pier, and we will have to put in enough parking to service whatever fishermen are there. I totally understand your concern. I'm a fisherman, and I enjoy fishing, and there's people who don't have a boat, can't afford a boat, and that's the only access they have to fishing. However, the supervisor and I had strong discussions on what should go on that property. And we are at odds, and I won't just bring it, no, but I will go at odds against, if we are able to purchase that property, what should be put on that property. It is my opinion that if that property becomes the Van Buren Township property, it must be made available to whatever is applicable to the most residents in Van Buren Township, in whatever method or fashion that is, and that's my position. I certainly understand your position.
But when you start running it out for showers and family reunions and weddings, come on, that's commercial. That's not residential. And then what? Where are you gonna hire a police force? On the lake and on the land? Where are you gonna get them from?
We already have police force.
Really?
We have a very
That's not what
good-
you said
we
the
have
other
an
day.
Excellent police force.
See, we should have had a video of the meeting you had. You say 13, I say more. But we should have had a video of that meeting you had with us, because everything you're saying
Tell me
today
at the meeting.
is not what you
Because
said
you're
at the meeting.
first 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then I've not. But okay, your 3 minutes is up. If you
All
want
right,
the last
and if I
thing
just
again.
one little question.
Sure.
You're the head, and the trustees really have no say. That's what I'm getting from
No,
this
I'm
meeting.
only one vote.
What is the position of a trustee? They give you advice?
Hmm?
What is the position of what's the difference between a supervisor and a trustee?
On this board, nothing.
Yeah,
I'm
nothing?
one vote.
So you aren't the head, like the president, and they're all your aides, correct?
No.
So you listen to them?
They're actually my boss.
Not
Sometimes.
really, not really.
Yeah, I agree with you.
get the
Listen to
picture?
four of them.
Did you get that picture?
Ma'am, if I can answer that question for you.
What?
The supervisor is the administrator of the entire township.
It spends our tax money?
Well, the trustees are the fiduciaries of the budget and the bank. In other words, we must approve every penny that is spent, and it's our primary obligation to make sure that we oversee all the expenditures of the township.
I just fell off my chair
Why?
Because it
with
doesn't,
that statement.
because that
With
doesn't,
that statement.
because it doesn't happen.
Okay, we're moving, we're gonna start moving.
Yeah.
Okay,
When can
next,
we have a
please.
meeting with you guys, people that live on the lake? When can we have a meeting with you that's not televised and there's people that have other interests? When can you do that? We thought we had a meeting the other day, but actually we didn't.
What meeting is she referring to?
Lake
They had a meeting with
residents.
me, I didn't know what it was about, I met with them, they told me what it was about, I answered all their questions until they were done. I don't think I dodged a single question, I didn't.
No, one question was asked, how do you clean it up? And you said, well, we'll have
I
to.
intend to build this if I can, but it's the board's decision. And
Okay,
now
I'm
they
glad to
come
hear
here
it's the
talk
board's
to the board.
decision and not his.
You were listening.
Only,
I have nothing else to
three people
say.
can meet without an official publicized board meeting.
Come on up, you're next, okay? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Phyllis Johnson. I'm concerned that we're going to have another park, and I don't think that's necessary. We have about 15 parks in the area. I Googled them yesterday. We have the Lower Huron Metro Park, which isn't too far from us, 5 minutes away. It has 1,258 acres. We have the Van Buren Township Park. We have the Park Beach at the Van Buren Township Park. There's 3 of them there together. Victoria Commons has a park that's 8 acres. We have Horizon Park in Belleville. We have Victory Park. We have French Landing Park. We have Pavilion 4 and Quirk Park in a senior garden. We have the Riggs Heritage Park on Martinsville. We have the Haggerty Neighborhood Park on Hamilton and Jackson Streets. We have Willow Metro Park, which is in Sumter, which is just 5 miles down the road. We have the Oakwoods Metro Park. And there is the Wetlands in Sumter. How many parks do we need? Here's my theory. I'm thinking, why not have something that's a beautiful piece of property? Why not have something that's just scenic? When we drive by, does it have to have a lot of people? Can we just have, like, in the springtime, flowering trees and shrubs and a few park benches and maybe birdhouses on poles? Something that when we drive by, it's serene and peaceful and not another business where we have people, where we have to worry about parking cars and people scheduling their events on this property. This could be very, very pretty. It's a very nice location. We do a lot of things with the city of Belleville. Maybe they might be interested in joining us and doing something together. On our way into Belleville, the property is there. It would be a little welcome thing. Welcome to Belleville. This is our community. And when we're leaving Belleville, another thing, you're now entering Van Buren Township, and just have something just serene and beautiful to look at without worrying about traffic, black more blacktop. I'm really tired of cement blacktop cars. We're having Menards come. That's more traffic for our area again. We have a lot of restaurants here already. We have so much hustle and bustle. Friday nights, it's almost impossible to drive through Belleville. It takes you a long time. I have a hard time getting out of my subdivision to get on the street because of all the traffic. And there were 2 S-curves there. And to have more congestion in the area, I just don't think that's a good idea. I'd like to see something just beautiful, a few park benches if people want to sit on a park bench and read a book, or in the fall we have the beautiful colors. We could do something with a natural setting. In the winter we could have the reed grass and it would be blowing in the wind. Something of that nature, just something beautiful and not more hustle and bustle. What do you think about that?
Compelling. I'm not sure that we go that way, but it's better than what we got. So.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Look, all of your concerns are heard. They are by this board. And we have to listen to what the residents say and how this impacts their property, and especially those that live around that area. So they're valid. Anytime you want to meet with any of us, we're open to it. This is in the very early preliminary stages. It's just talk right now. Nothing's been decided on. And if something was announced prematurely, we apologize for that. Again, we have to do our due diligence before we make announcements that we're doing this or that or a dog park or whatever. We have to do our homework first. We have to listen to the residents and who it impacts. So, message received.
Thank you.
I have to tell you, Phyllis, Mrs. Johnson, I'm with you.
Thank you.
Anybody
One
else?
last question. Can we meet with trustee White and trustee Frazier?
You'd have to ask them. You'd have to ask them, and I'm sure that they will because they're. No, I've
Fine,
never
but
seen
we're on
anybody.
the losing side,
Is
so
there
you
anybody else?
probably want to go with these
Okay, hold
guys.
on. Stop. Okay, is there anybody else that wishes to make comment tonight? Okay, hearing none, I am.
No, wait.
What? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there.
Pretending you don't see me.
Yeah, good go.
Nice
I was
try.
looking at the second row.
Nice try. Got to get a little slicker than that. Thanks for everything, Sherry. Appreciate it, your alertness. I don't think we should be paying for certain things either. You make enough money, pay for it yourself. I don't even think we should be buying coffee pots for the break room at the school. School didn't buy coffee pots in their break rooms. People bought them, chipped in, bought their own, or bought them at a rummage sale and brought them into work. Get with the old program. Stop trying to spend all our money. Nothing on the towing. You're still not going to do anything with the towing. You got that no deal going with the towing company. They could charging people whatever they want. You guys don't even know what they're charging. They're tow jacking. I'm not in favor of a dog park. If you make a dog park, you're going to have to make a cat park. Think about it. We're really getting, I don't know if it's your party affiliation or what, but we're really getting with some crazy stuff. I'm not in favor of no boathouse there. Why can't we just leave it alone? Let the DNR do what they've been doing with it. I think they're doing a better job than what we would do with it. And I'm not crazy about all the growth, everything going on. Menards, all that. I've never been to Menards. I probably won't go to that one because too much traffic. But the towing's wrong. You know it's wrong. Are you paying the towing company for towing they're doing for you?
No, I don't think so.
So you're getting a gift for their service, right?
I actually don't know what you mean then.
If a township vehicle breaks down,
What?
a township vehicle breaks down, when they quit running, they go on the side of the road and they stop and they won't start. Are you paying the towing company to tow them vehicles?
I would assume I am.
Okay, well, I don't think you are. So is that receiving a favor for services?
No.
Somebody?
I mean, I don't think that.
Can you take favors from vendors?
No.
Then why are you taking free towing from the towing company?
I don't know that I am.
But Supervisor McNamara, I think you gave a update on the towing.
And
It was either you or
And
Chief.
I looked right over at that table,
Lorraine.
chair, where Lorraine, our public safety director was. I was gonna ask.
He
where
probably
we
knew
were.
I was gonna ask about it, that's why he
But I
left.
will I will get back with the board and anybody else that wants to know, and
But
let them know
The
tomorrow.
way I understand it,
What's going on with that.
if your vehicle breaks down, water department, fire engine, whatever, they can tow for you, they tow for you, and they're not charging you. So is that taking a favor? Are you allowed to take favors?
I have no idea what
You don't know if you're allowed to take favors?
I'm not allowed to take favors, but I don't know what you're saying is true.
Okay.
With that, I mean.
What if I
Mr.
told you, I'm sorry, what if I told you I had a text from the tow truck driver that says, well, if it goes out for contract and we don't get it, they won't get free towing anymore?
Let's put it this way. We have had the same two tow companies, and they're not on contract.
Well, they know, they got a good thing going, buddy, look at their trucks.
At any time. We have rewritten the rules that we do this with. Other communities put this out to contract, jack up the cost of the towing to the individuals that get towed, and make a profit off of it. We are not doing that.
No, they're making a profit. You guys, I don't know what you're getting out of it other than free towing. Maybe you're all getting free towing.
But we're not doing that, because it's bad enough when your car breaks down.
But what I'm saying is you still don't know, you don't know what they're charging these people for your cars. Nobody's monitoring it.
It's because it's between them.
It's not right.
It should be a record, there should be a record.
But they don't have to
of
show
every
them if they
tow.
don't have a agreement with
We
you.
can look at their invoices, all right, I
We
understand
don't
what
look
you're
at their
saying.
invoices. We have nothing to do with the towing company and the person that gets towed.
You do, you're getting free towing.
We don't.
But that's what,
Fruit baskets, probably.
I would like to make a motion that we put the towing question as an informational item on the next work study so that we can get clarification in regards to these questions.
Support.
Especially the favor part. I want to know about the favor part. Free towing.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but
Well,
I'll
we'll have
ask.
a discussion.
Yeah,
I'll ask.
But I mean, we'll get information.
That's what I'm asking you.
Because I-
Please
Put it on,
Mr. Ian.
I have two trustees that have requested this to go onto the board.
I've
Therefore,
been
it
asking that
does
for
go
how many
onto the board.
months?
Okay,
On a work study,
Not going away.
On a work study, please. Thank you.
on a work study.
informational.
And please
Joanne,
forward
did you
that
get that?
information to Mr. Ian.
Towing as an informational item so we can get clarification on these items to work, at a work study.
All right, there you go.
There's a motion on the table.
There doesn't
And
have
so-
to be
It's
No,
not a
it's
motion,
just-
it's just a request.
Yeah, Mr.
Okay,
Request, yeah.
come on up.
Doesn't have to be a motion.
Thought this was gonna be a short night.
Yes, my name is Judy Merrick-Veska. I live on Harbor Lane. These are many of my neighbors here. There were a number of them that I called because I'm making a lot of calls yesterday and today. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it, but they all agreed. They all agreed that we feel that the traffic would be horrendous if you make something as far as having a parking lot there on that piece of property, people coming in and out. It's bad now. We can't even get out of our subdivision after 3 o'clock. It's bumper to bumper. It's crazy. And then what's going to happen is later on, they're going to be impatient. Cars are going to be impatient as far as trying to get out. They're going to take a chance, and there will be a bad accident. And so basically, we're trying, Phyllis Johnson and I, and the rest of us, if you would consider this, is to take that piece of land and don't turn it into a park. And this way, if you have that piece of property there for walkers, for people to use the sidewalk to get to that area, and have some benches, have some trees, and they could look out on the lake and see the boats going back and forth. But it's going to be green, not a blacktop parking lot. and then have a big pavilion there for reunions and birthday parties, and cars are going to be going in and out. It's not good. So please, if you would consider it, that it's much better if you have a green area, which the whole world's talking about, a green, instead of that blacktop and a lot of hustle and bustle going out. So that's why we're here, to let you know how we feel about it before it goes over our heads and it's going to be too late, and that's going to be it for us. In fact, the whole subdivision, as far as that goes. But even the people going in and out of Belleville, just like Phyllis says, they're going to see beauty. They're not going to see a bunch of cars parked over there and a big pavilion. And this way, you were saying at the last meeting that you want to make something beautiful. That's what you said. Those were your words.
I do.
Okay. Well, you put that stuff there, that asphalt parking lot and that pavilion. That's not beautiful. That's not beautiful. So please, all of you, take this and consider us and go ahead and get your facts, but then let us know as you're going along those facts and those results, what you're getting from the DNR.
Everything has to be done in an open meeting.
Yes.
The only thing that would not be in an open meeting would be a discussion of the price to purchase, and that'd be the only thing. After that, though, once we decided we're going to, we have to go into an open meeting where it has to be discussed and open.
Yes, and
That's
please
it. Everything else on this step has to be done openly.
And please let us know as things are moving along. I mean, you're saying that maybe it's going to be a year, 3 years from now. Fine, but if it's before then let us know if it's moved up and it's quicker.
I will.
Okay.
I
Thank
will.
you.
I'll let Rose, can I let the paper know? That makes it easy for
As
me.
much as you can get out there through the paper or whichever way. Maybe you could have some postings, in the general area where people are coming and going, paying their bills, have something posted on the wall.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Appreciate you hearing me.
Okay.
Through the chair.
There's a lot more to go, but go ahead.
Okay, just through the discussion so far, I think it would be advisable for us to consider a focus group or some kind of survey of the citizens. I mean that what they'd
We're a
like to
long
see in
way
it. I know
from
that,
yeah.
but I mean, if we purchase the land, then we need to do that. And we need to keep the public apprised of, how things are moving.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Margot Hibbets, and I live at 45320 Sunrise Lane. I live right at the corner of Belleville Road and Harmony Lane sub. They're worried about the present conditions and things being built. I'm more worried about maintenance. I'd like to see a 5-year maintenance of the area. Whatever you put there must be maintained. I'd like to see a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. We have that nice new fence there. I maintain that. We have dirt along the roads. I maintain that. I sweep up the roads. I take out the weeds. I do some of the weed whacking. Now, they do mow and things like that, but who's going to maintain whatever you build there for 10 years? Who's going to constantly upkeep it? Anybody that lives on the lake knows it falls in. It has to be maintained. So that's my worry, is for the future, not what you're doing now.
I can say, I don't know what's gonna go there, but it is going to be the showcase of Van Buren, because it's on that road, at that bridge, and everything else in Van Buren is pretty much tucked away. So whatever is there, Van Buren, this administration going forward for 100 years would be foolish to ever not maintain that thing as a world-class, state-of-the-art, beautiful facility, because if they didn't, they're just basically destroying their own community. It's the only thing that's going to be Van Buren that people are going to see regularly.
Well, the maintenance is my worry. That's a really big concern of mine, is keeping it clean, so, thank you.
Good evening. My name's Vic Franza. I live at 1170 West Huron River Drive. It's my understanding that the DNR dictates pretty much what you have to have if you purchase the property. Fishing dock, that sort of thing is one of them, correct? Why not put the fishing dock at Van Buren Park? And it can be done. They did the dock in Belleville, where they have the boat launch and all that sort of thing. And use this area, like the lady said, just as a sitting area, walking area, trees, flowers. You want a beautiful thing, like they say, don't put in blacktop, don't put up a building that's gonna have graffiti. You have a park, it's underutilized. Put your fishing dock there. Put your family reunion stuff there. There's already stuff, there's bathrooms. Why not say, okay, DNR, we'll give you this, you give us that. We'll buy it, but this is what we're gonna do. We'll put the fishing dock here, we'll put the facilities there. You have the fishing, you have the parking, you have the semi-infrastructure. There you go. Everybody's happy, right? Thank you.
I wrote down some interesting thought. Anybody else? Okay, is anybody from the board that wants to make a comment before we go to adjournment? Hearing none. May I get a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Bud, supported by Wright. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.